Thank you very much, Machine. I'm Medic, I'm joined by Vedius, and we are here for the first two games of the day. Now, Vedius, SK versus Schalke, perhaps not the epic that some people would hope to kick off day two.
I mean, I would say that given we have G2 versus Fnatic at the end of the day, we're kind of slowly ramping up. And if we're going to be honest, we're starting quite low at the beginning of the day. Both these teams have struggled so far this split, and I think we need to set expectations that this could be a number of different things. This could be a slow siesta, this could be a clown fiesta, or this could be the return of both teams finally finding a clean and first, well, big win here on the LEC stage.
Well, that's the hope, really. We want to see these teams shine like their players have shone in the past and show promise to do. We are going to jump on into picks and bans. Things like the Akali, Pantheon have been at the top of the ban list. The set there as well on day one. And already Schalke remove a Vedius from the pool.
So let's have a look. I wonder if either team is going to look to take Syndra off the board or whether it'll be something high priority. Schalke actually looking to ban away the Sacre. Not too surprising, something that we've been seeing come out in the ban table a lot.
Not many teams can handle a medic, Vedius.
It's true.
Not many
very
teams
true.
can.
You do need a lot of training. The set ban, you already talked about it. Syndra also going to come out from Schalke, so we're looking at a potential Jarvan. First pick for Lurox.
Yep.
He did play that yesterday. Tried to put him on something comfortable, easy to engage on, good scaling into the late game with Gragas taken off the board. That is one of the safest blind picks. Alternatively, you could go for the Misfortune or the Senna. Both are open as well.
Forgiven hasn't had the best of performances on the Senna so far. Maybe put him on something a little bit more traditional like the MF. Give him that ability to carry in the laning phase, and that's what's going to be locked in.
You also take it away from Crownshot. The man has had 3 Misfortune games and 2 Aphelios games, which means that his champion pool has now been removed.
Yep.
We'll see what else he can bring out, whether it will be the Senna, maybe the Varus, but it looks like it's going to be the Senna for now, and SK actually going to prioritize the Lee Sin. This is something that Trick has played a lot of in the past. I actually don't think he's played it yet this split, though, and we're going to see how he can perform on it as he goes up against his former team in Schalke.
Yeah, you are correct in thinking he hasn't played it yet this split. It will be the first time for him in spring 2020, and now we'll see where Lurox decides to go.
I think we're going to see a jungle plus Ornn pick here.
Okay.
If we're talking... Oh, sorry, I'm looking at SK now. SK is the team that typically prioritizes the Ornn, so I wonder if Schalke will look to try and take that one away, or perhaps they have something prepared, because SK could look to just grab that one up and then save the Tom catch pick later on to pair it up with the Senna.
As you say, Sacre has 4 out of his 5 games so far this split on that Ornn. Rumble will be the lock for Odo, one of his well-known picks, one of his legacy picks, and we'll see if SK decide to go for that Ornn.
Of course, it can be flex, but I understand why you'd immediately go towards Odo, because he's the player that you think of when you see this Rumble pick. And when we look at the composition, we're seeing a lot of teamfight presence come out from Schalke already. The Misfortune and the Rumble offer a huge mid-game power spike, and they're very versatile in what they can offer in the early to mid-game. But there's the Ornn. We were talking about it. Yeah, really, really difficult prediction to make.
Could have been GP, Vedi.
It could have been that one GP game that he's played. Looks like he's going back to comfort, as it were. But SK going for a little bit more on the scaling aspect. You have Senna, very strong in the late game thanks to a very long range. On top of the fact you have easy engage with the Ornn. Both junglers very early game focused. So now we're looking for things like mid laners, and we're looking for things like the support as well. Time Genj has to be a high priority. I wouldn't be surprised to see Schalke ban that one away. And Leona is something you have to consider. Schalke will want to get their hands on to give it a strong matchup alongside the Misfortune.
Having MF Leona in that bottom lane, even into a Senna who can use that Curse of the Black Mists, it's actually still quite easy to hit both your Solar Flare and your Zenith Blade, because you know Senna's always sitting right in the middle of that big black circle. The Braum is the first ban from Schalke. It's a defensive support. There's the Gangplank from SK alongside the Cassio. I do want to bring the thought into your mind that Ornn can be flexed down to support, of course. But with Sacre having played it so many times this split, you expect it to be top.
We see it mid lane more than we see it support, my friend. We've seen it as an answer to a lot of very aggressive mid lane champions. Speaking of things like the Yasuo, the Pantheon, all still been left up and available, but I don't think they're going to be a high priority for now. SK are expecting this Rumble to actually be in the mid lane. They did ban away the Gangplank just in case. But of course, they banned away the Cassio as well, so kind of covering all their bases, it seems like. Of course, the Tahm Kench ban did come through from Schalke. Wouldn't be surprised right now to see the Leona. I consider it a pretty solid pick into the Nautilus. Pairs it very well with Misfortune. And we get to see Dreams on an engaged champion. I like it a lot more when we actually get to see him be that facilitator, be one of the engaged tools, because one of the issues I think Schalke suffered from when they played with Gilius and they put him on these engaged champions was he wasn't able to find a lot of successful engages, and that responsibility often fell on Odo. We'll see if things change up as he actually decides to lock in the Thresh.
Thresh is still like pseudo-engage. You're landing hooks. If you can start off a team fight, although you don't have that big go button in the form of a solar flare. I do like Dreams on the Thresh. He played it a couple of times last year, or once last year. Didn't win on it, but maybe he'll win this time. And alongside that,
maybe.
I mean, Schalke don't have a great record of winning so far, so I don't want to be too positive about it. The Aatrox is the final pick for Schalke Null Fear. We'll see where SK go with their last pick.
So final pick, the Rumble they now know is in the mid lane. Of course, Aatrox can still be flexed. And SK, they're hovering a couple options. The Mordekaiser is a very flexible pick as well. And it looks like that they are going to answer with that in the mid lane for Jenax, and it will likely be the Rumble into this Mordekaiser mid. I wonder what sort of build we'll see from the Rumble, whether we'll see the Doinby Predator roaming Rumble, or whether we'll see the more conventional that we often see in the mid lane with things like the Comet as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Schalke, I think that they've drafted themselves a pretty solid mid-game comp. I think they have a lot of options, a lot of control in the early laning phase. They should be able to get push in top, mid, and even bot in the early game, which should give Lurox a lot of options. But I think that the scaling advantage should edge towards SK. They have long-range engage, they have a lot of damage coming out from Senna, and because of the Mordekaiser being able to remove a target from the fight, you also have a very solid and reliable front line with which the Senna can play around. The question is, will SK be able to get there? And perhaps that's one of the best strategies going up against Schalke, because they've struggled so often to actually close out games and get those good leads. Maybe just drafting for scaling is the best bet against them.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. So far this split, Schalke have averaged minus 1,300 gold at the 15-minute mark. So if you're planning to scale into any team, a team that tends to be at a deficit early on is a good team to do it against. Schalke with the mid-game comp, pushing lanes, pressure for Lurox if he wants to utilize it. SK looking for the side of scaling. They do have some early game because they've got the Lee Sin. He can mitigate some of that pressure, but a lot of scaling on the side of SK. Already picked up a win, of course, this split. Schalke sitting at 0-5 at the bottom of the standings with Vitality. A win today, perhaps, well, it would be a good sign for the team. I'm not going to say it would be the start of a run of wins for them.
Well, let's also not forget that SK's only win was against Vitality, which was in the first week of the split as well. And I feel like that Schalke, SK, and Vitality sit at the bottom of the league right now, trying to avoid that last place spot. And every win is very important. You know, we're 3 weeks in. It's one of those things where if you're trading wins back and forth going 1-1, then that chance for playoffs is very realistic. But you know, even though we're only in week 3, you have to start having that conversation, because if you come out of it 0-6, then that road to climb back up becomes very, very challenging.
Definitely does. Early doors, both teams are just spread out across the map. No real fights happening as of yet. I do want to point out the Oracle's lens sitting on limit. You usually see this on supports when they want to go for a late invade, and that seems to be what SK are setting up for. Dreams is in position to place a ward. I don't believe he's placed one as of yet, but the ward up here by the Razorbeaks tends to be how you make sure you don't get invaded without any knowledge of it.
Looks like the delayed invade is definitely coming through from SK. Dreams
didn't use the ward.
No, he's not going to do it. But it looks like the Rek'Sai is starting on the top side anyway. Going to have a bit of a pull from Odoamne. The question is, will they be aware of this? The ping is coming down. You'll see the positioning of Dreams will keep vision. And so he should be able to spot out SK. Doesn't need to spend the wards. And the sweep will end up being wasted, no benefit gained. Of course, SK will be able to confirm that there is no vision here, but Schalke have the information that they need. Their red buff is being stolen. Lurox can use this as an opportunity to immediately move towards the enemy red buff and take that one away. Look as well in the mid lane, immediate push comes out from Abbedagge. In the top lane as well, Odoamne is going to be in a position to push and assist his jungler should he need it. So everything is safe and sound to allow Lurox to take this for free.
Yeah, it feels very easy for Lurox because, as you said in pick and ban, they have pushing lanes in the top and in the mid lane. If your team can respond quicker, this sort of invade is pretty easy for you to do.
Of course, what has now happened is SK have effectively split the map. So now what Trick is going to be doing is he'll be spending a lot of his time towards the bot side, and we can already see a gank is looking to happen.
Here comes Trick, they're going on Forgiven straight away. The Ignite is ticking, Forgiven flashes away, Trick on the chase, but he's gonna get the kill underneath the tower. Dreams unable to save his AD carry.
Absolutely horrendous play from the Schalke bot lane. I was just about to talk about... I was just about to talk about the fact that Trick has split the map. He's on the bot side. You know he's just invaded your red buff, and you have to play defensively because, hey, your jungler isn't there. The enemy jungler is. This is basic League 101, and Forgiven and Dreams get engaged on. They give away their lives. They have no summoner spells. This bot lane already falling to disaster 3 minutes in.
Losing so many minions to that turret as well. Odo pressuring up here on the top side, but really, the game, it's not often you can say can be decided by moments like this, but this is such a big misplay from Schalke. No summoners left on this bot lane.
Now, admittedly, the wave is obviously in a very awkward spot, but you're in this situation where you just have to respect that you can get ganked this early on, and they don't. Forgiven refused to give up the farm. He refused to just play defensively, and he ends up losing his life as a result.
Abbedagge flashing forward straight to Jenax, who pulls him back with the Death's Grasp, but Trick is already gone, and Schalke have actually found a couple of kills here very quickly. Abbedagge gets one on the board. Jenax trying to trade in. Here comes Crownshot looking for the damage on Dreams. Dreams rooted up with the last embrace. Jenax almost falling as well. Lurox going back in, but won't find the connection. Ends up being a 2-for-1 trade in the jungle.
All right, Medic, I'm starting to get an idea of what kind of game this is going to be now.
I am too, Vedius.
All right, so...
Let me find our clown hats.
Yeah, after the early shenanigans in the bot lane, it appears that we have some action in the river. So what happens exactly? We can see that Trick tries to contest Lurox, who is not in a position to really force this from Trick, because it's much easier for Abbedagge and Dreams to collapse. That's how they start this early skirmish off. They quickly get 2 kills, and they think that with this numbers advantage, they can turn this into a favorable trade. Of course, with the arrival of Crownshot and the heal, that actually forces Abbedagge to disengage. Perhaps he had a lot of his abilities on cooldown because he really didn't want to commit to that, allowing Jenax to walk away with his life as well. So ends up being 2 for 2 overall, even after the early deficit Forgiven found himself in due to those shenanigans. He's now back in the laning phase. Crownshot now has no summoner spells, and Schalke actually have the gold lead.
There were 3 flashes left up in the entire game, Vedius. 1 on each of the top laners, because, of course, they never impact the game. And Limit has his as well. So we'll see if Limit can use that in the bottom lane, as he does get hooked by Dreams. You did mention in Pick and Ban you wanted to see Dreams on a more proactive champion who has engaged potential, and you've had a few engages so far. Trick is going to come up towards the top lane as Odoamne just walks away. Pretty easy for the Aatrox to escape.
He's going to be aware of what the jungler is up to. Sacre has been bullied a lot in this laning phase. Once he hits level 6, and when he changes to Ignite, he actually has a surprising amount of kill pressure, and is a lane that SK could look to try and find an early gank with. You can see Trick still hovering around, wants to help Sacre push in this wave, and this will give Sacre the opportunity to go back to base.
Yeah, just getting those recall timers off when you can. Always important. As you said, Forgiven didn't actually get a kill or an assist in the lane, but has equalized that CS deficit he had earlier on. So sitting on about 130. Oh, he's just gone back and picked up a couple of items. So he was sitting on about 700, 800 gold there. And he's got himself double longsword. Wait, how has he just gone back? Did I totally mess that up? I didn't see the double longsword.
I'm really...
Okay, something happened there where the double longsword just appeared in his inventory. We're using couriers now. We Dota.
I'm not sure what happened there, Medic. Let's just casually slide past that one. As we can see, 2 items picked up for Forgiven. And a double longsword, going to give him a bit of extra AD in the laning phase, will help his trading, at the very least. You can see that Rumble using the high wave clear to get push in the mid, and then he's going to move down into the river to help maintain control for this early Cloud Drake. That 10% ult cooldown reduction going to be valuable for the team like Schalke when you have ultimates like the Rumble ultimate, the Misfortune ultimate, all very, very valuable indeed. But it's actually SK that are in a position to start this one off first, and teleport will be up for Sacre, won't be for Odoamne. Schalke should likely avoid trying to contest this one for now.
Yeah, you don't really want to trade when you could be at a man disadvantage pretty quickly. That's the dragon. 2 missed fragments for Crownshot, and SK with the early objective. It's not something we've seen too much of them. From them across the course of the split. Both Schalke and SK have actually really struggled in the early game, and I think we were both wondering who would come out on top, because you can see neither of them have high kills and assists at the 15-minute mark. Both of them tend to be behind in gold at the 15-minute mark, and neither of them very good at taking dragons either. So it's a little bit of a battle at the bottom of the table.
It's almost like we have an 8th and a 9th place team battling against each other.
I just like to highlight sometimes that
yeah, I mean,
they've
like,
struggled.
The numbers kind of speak for themselves, as you rightly said. And honestly, no one's really winning right now. It's still very close. So both of them kind of both beating and also keeping their record at the same time.
Schrodinger's game. Until we get to the end of it,
legend.
both teams are both winning and losing. Okay, so Vedi. We're 8 minutes in. We've seen both teams have forays, have attacks in towards the enemy team, but I'm really thinking about what happens next. Schalke, we talked about them having this mid-game spike, having pressure at those 2 items or so. We'll see if they can utilize that, because Abbedagge hasn't been roaming much from this mid lane on the Rumble, has hit the level 7, but isn't going Predator, so isn't looking to impact the rest of the map. I want to see Schalke trying to take some fights soon. Otherwise, you wonder if the scaling from SK will just come into effect.
I don't think they need to be...
By soon, I mean the next 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's not really the definition of soon, but I realized when I said soon, that's not the word I should have used.
Yeah, it's a good thing you don't speak for a living. Now, Schalke, well, that fight that you're looking for may be happening soon.
They're taking it soon,
This is where you
Vedius.
start to build the tension.
Ooh.
The dramatic music begins to cue.
Are we going camping? Because this is intense right now.
Really. That's how you build drama and suspense.
And no
by
fight
making
happened.
a pun.
I knew no fight was going to happen. Okay, so Lurox gets the Rift Herald for free. SK didn't want to take that fight.
Yeah, so they're going to walk away with the Rift Herald. Of course, the Drake wasn't alive, so it couldn't be traded in that side of the map. Now, the question is, where will Schalke look to use this Rift Herald? They do have a wave stacked up top, but Odoamne is going to use that as an opportunity to reset. Something that Schalke could do is actually invest it towards the bot side of the map to try and free Forgiven and Dreams from this 2 versus 2, start moving this bot lane around a little bit more, try and get some gold into the back pocket of this Misfortune. And given the bot side camps are up for Lurox, that is likely the direction that he will be heading in the near future.
Seems like you are right on the money there. Schalke do actually have a couple of control wards here that will spot Limit out as he comes towards the mid lane. Limit maybe going to try and clear this one out. Does have to be a little bit cautious, but Nautilus, of course, with the Dredge line, can just hook his way away. Even steers away the Scryer's Bloom. It's something I love doing as support. Deathgrass not quite going to connect here in the mid lane, but Jenax still has the ultimate, even if Abbedagge is winning out the trade.
So, Medic, you'll notice that Abbedagge is rushed early Sork boots. Obviously, early magic penetration on Rumble, very valuable. But by getting the tier 2 boots as well, the extra movement speed that you get allows you to sidestep a lot of the skill shots the Mordekaiser tries to hit on you. So I like the early purchase, and again, you're seeing it. Every time that E comes out from Jenax, it's going to be sidestepped by Abbedagge, and he's going to get a lot of these favorable trades out. And one of the great things about Rumble as well is you can just push the wave while also harassing, so you force your opposition into a very awkward situation where if they miss those skill shots, it's always going to hurt you a lot more than you originally think.
You can see Lurox and Abbedagge coming up here towards the top lane. Sacre being very defensive, looking to clear out the wave as much as he can, but this appears like it might be a Rift Herald use in the top lane. You want to get as many plates down as possible before you put the Rift Herald in. Sacre is going to step forward now, knowing that the Rumble is not on his way. It lands the knock-up onto Lurox, but that Rift Herald is just going to get a charge off, and it should be able to take at least a couple of plates off the turret.
So they're going to put the gold into Odoamne. The weight is going to fall on the Aatrox's back. Still not too bad. He's going to spike hard in the mid game. So we see a hook flash.
Hook. Abbedagge still has his flash. Put into the realm of death and now flashes away, but Jenax is going to lock him in place for the moment. Dreams on his way as well as here comes Forgiven, and the fight really begins in the mid lane as the equalizer comes out. Limit goes gold and one down already as Abbedagge falls. Forgiven's going to get to the lantern, but here comes the TP. Dredge line doesn't quite connect. Odo's joining the fight from the top side. That's another one for Schalke. They equalize the scoreboard, but here comes Crownshot. Is Odo going to overstep because it's Sacre pushing forward with the Bellows breath. Death's Grasp not connecting. Last Embrace does though. Sacre pulled in. He pops his stopwatch. The kick away. Dreams. Well, Trick gave him a route to safety, and Dreams gets pulled back, has to flash. Ends up being a 1-for-1 in the mid lane.
Tense fight between the two teams. As you rightly said, Medic, only one death on both sides, but the Dragon is about to spawn in 9 seconds. It looks like Schalke have the slightly healthier team, but no, they're deciding not to go for it for now. They're going to look to reset, spend some of the gold, and you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, Jenax picking up the Proto Belt as well. Teleport is available for Abbedagge, so not the end of the world for him. He should be able to rejoin the fray.
So I'd really like to see Odo back, because he's sitting on about 1,300 gold and there's an Ocean Drake on the Rift. If SK get the Ocean Drake, they're that much closer to the Soul. It will either be an Infernal or a Mountain. And you can see, actually, it looks like Schalke have decided they don't want to fight around it. They don't want to go for it. Giving up this Ocean with the intent of playing around the next few dragons when they hit those first item spikes, when they hit those 2 item spikes.
Yeah, I do feel, though, that they could have been better positions to look to fight for those. I think that they haven't taken a great advantage of Odoamne's teleport. They've heavily invested in keeping him in that 1v1 in the top lane, and of course, due to the early shenanigans that happened bot, Forgiven hasn't felt strong enough, so they've mainly just avoided these fights. But they're nearing the point where they should start to look for these early engagements, because we talk a lot about scaling. We talk about how later into the game it's going to be harder for Schalke to win these games, especially when you think about they don't have the most reliable engage. A lot of it comes off the back of Dreams looking for a pick, because Rek'Sai is going to not be the greatest engage. And while a Rumble ultimate is great, as I speak about engage...
Oh, Jenax just TP'd in behind this. Abbedagge really has nowhere to go. The Brittle is there, but he's already in the realm of death. Jenax will be able to chase him down. Abbedagge just oversteps.
Yeah, tier 2 boots aren't going to help you this time, Abbedagge, as Jenax does find a quick kill. Great use of the teleport, should set them up to try and secure some plates in the bot side of the map as Lurox is looking to intervene. But nice to see SK being a little bit proactive on the map, not something that we normally see from this team. Usually much slower, and we heard it from Abbedagge. We heard it from Yamato on the desk when he talked about how SK, they're a team that often watches the game happen around them, and it's nice to see them make these kind of plays. Good deep teleport, very easy to come in from behind Abbedagge. He doesn't have his flash from the previous exchange. Lurox isn't close enough. Abbedagge thought he was safe because mid had prio, they had control of the river, but he doesn't quite see that ward behind him, and he ends up getting collapsed on.
And you can see what Abbedagge was thinking, as you say, Lurox being nearby, but good teleport in. Does mean it's on cooldown, of course. Abbedagge's just used his to get back down towards the bottom lane. Odo's is up if Schalke want to take a fight in the ensuing minutes, but still a while before the next dragon is available. Rift Herald will be up in just a short while. I'll see if Schalke wants to go for the second Herald. Oh, great play from Trick as he lands the kickback underneath the turret. Now there's the route, the chase. Oh, that was beautiful. That was sublime from Trick.
Clean play there. Little to break down. Trick with just a really good insect. Odoamne didn't have his flash to get out of that one. I like the fact that Odoamne used his ultimate as quickly as possible to get out of range of the turret, but the chain CC from the Nautilus and the Lee Sin was more than enough to find that kill, and now SK is still a little bit behind in gold.
It's basically even now as we get to the 15-minute mark. Honors square between the two teams, and the Rift Herald started up immediately by SK. They have the advantage on this top side now. Odo has teleport. It looks like Schalke want to fight this.
Yeah, but they are a man down. Odo does, as you rightly said, have the TP.
Coming in.
SK is split up.
Trick still on it. Sacre's going to land the knockback. The equalizer coming out. Trick didn't have the smite. Looks like they get it. Trick will be able to jump out of this. And SK get away scot-free.
Well, the awkward part there for Schalke was they tried to engage through this choke point, but because of the Ornn ultimate, they actually couldn't get through it. So even though a teleport came through from Odoamne and SK was split, Schalke couldn't actually commit to the fight. And this is what we talked about. Their engage isn't the strongest. If they don't land a hook, if they don't find a good flank, Schalke actually can't really start a fight. Yeah. You know, we talked about maybe they could have gone for the Leona in the draft, offering that slightly stronger engage tool, but by putting themselves in this situation, it's a lot harder to force these mid-game fights that they're really looking for.
And it's a weakness we've seen in Schalke across the last few weeks, just that inability to... Frostguring was describing it yesterday as make a fist to punch someone. It feels like all of the fingers are working independently and they can't quite find the way to get all 5 fingers combined to actually land a knockout blow.
Oh, that's a good descriptor. Yeah, quite like that. And it's ironic because when you look at SK, they're kind of a team that just kind of watches the fists from a distance. Yeah. So in theory, you have this team with someone watching someone trying to form a fist, and they just awkwardly look at each other. But for now, SK have been in the driver's seat for the majority of the game, still in the goal deficit though. Of course, that is because Schalke have just secured themselves a tower. With SK's Rift Herald, they should be able to equalize this just a little bit. And with the dragon spawning in about 40 seconds, we'll see which teams look to contest. I think Schalke should try to force it because that's their best avenue of coming back. I say coming back into the game. We're trying to utilize the strengths of their comp. And I think it's really important that they try and look for these fights as soon as possible because it's only going to get harder the later the game goes.
Clock is ticking for Schalke. As you say, the dragon about to spawn. Rift Herald used in the bot lane to add a little bit of pressure down here. That charge should be able to take it out alongside Crownshot just getting a couple of auto attacks in when he can. Making sure that Shelly gets her charge in. The turret falls, and now we'll see. Schalke, we saw them try and fight around the last Rift Herald. Here they have to up the tempo. They have to do something. Lurox going in, great flash. Crownshot in the black mist will get us away. And Crownshot burns both summoners. Will SK give up the ghost on the dragon? Will they say we don't need to fight it, we're 2 up? Or will they just get mid-prio and go for the turret instead?
I think that's the easier play for SK. It won't be the fastest, of course, because of Senna. Oh, actually, they're kind of dividing and conquering right now. Schalke have decided to hold on to the mid tower as the Drake goes down. Lurox, of course, no flash, so while he could commit to this, there may no be escape route for him. Here comes Sacre with the ult.
Sacre looking for the call of the Forge. Got but a great hook from Dreams, pulls him out of it. Equalizer not too well placed as SK push towards the dragon. Trick gets it, 3rd of the game for them, and now Lurox is in the middle of SK. He's going to be able to back away. Sacre forced off towards the top side. Jenax in the realm of death. Hook doesn't quite connect, but SK will sacrifice him. 1 man down, but a dragon in their pocket.
Schalke could not go for the steal because Jenax used the ultimate to lock Lurox out of that option. This does bring SK to 3 Drakes, but SK lose their mid laner and they may lose this mid tower. Let's see if Crownshot can hold the line.
The issue for Schalke is they just can't take these turrets. They just can't take these objectives quickly enough. Still waiting on the first completed item from Abbedagge. Looks like he went Oblivion Orb and then is going towards a Liandry's instead of completing the Morellonomicon. I'm sure some LCK commentators will be very happy with that decision. Not a huge amount of healing
wait.
from side of SK.
He hasn't finished the item yet. We'll see.
I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Time. There's still
time to disappoint.
Anyway, so you talked about the hook from Dreams to interrupt that engage. Very well played by him. And then keep your eyes on Lurox. He's going to get ulted by Jenax, preventing him from stealing that one away. At this point, SK have decided, okay, let's just disengage. We need to fight them now. Jenax tries to run away, but then the Realm of Death ends. He flashes, but then a good knock-up from Odoamne interrupts any opportunity for escape. So Schalke walk away with the kill. Do have the gold advantage still. But again, SK, 3 Drakes working towards that 4th will be the Mountain, offering that big shield and also offering a couple more resistances to the already pretty tanky SK lineup.
I'll be honest, I'm very glad that we've had this pace of dragons quite quickly, consecutively after each other, because I was worried that we get to a game where, you know, 2 dragons to either team, it keeps going and keeps going. 20 minutes later, you get towards the soul, you get towards the Elder Dragon. But with SK keeping the tempo up like this, you expect it to be a slightly more rapid affair.
I mean, we talked about it, right? In the draft, where maybe the best thing to do against Schalke is just draft scaling, because they haven't showcased an ability to get to leads, and they also haven't showcased an ability to close out a game, which means that maybe if you just play for the late game and just wait, you're guaranteed to get to that point. And Schalke's in a position now where they need to try and force these fights, but they don't have the strongest tools in order to do it. So the question is, will SK actually then try to force these late game fights? Because this has also been an issue for them in the past.
That's true. That's true. Maybe they'll hope that Schalke will try and set up plays like this. Sacre going in. Dawning Shadow will heal him up just a tad. You can see the damage coming out, and Lurox going to jump in, but he's underneath the turret. Lurox is dead. That's 1. Sacre gets the outplay. He's going to burn for it. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, the bullet time came out as Forgiven picks up a kill onto Crownshot. Maybe Crownshot distracted by the play in the bot side. 2 for 1 so far in favor of Schalke. Teleport coming in towards this mid lane turret as it's Jenax joining the party, but Odoamne has actually called out Trick now as Trick jumps away with the safeguard. Ends up being 2 for 1 overall as Schalke try and make plays on 2 sides of the map.
A lot of small skirmishes happening across the board. I think the top tower also went down in that exchange, which of course Schalke is going to immediately equalize. Still sitting on the gold lead for now, even if it is a small one. And once we get the replay, we'll see exactly what happened in the mid lane, because I'm really fascinated as to how Crownshot died in that situation. So, of course, he does have no flash available to him. Yeah, and Dreams invested his, so I assume it was a flash.
Flash play is my thought.
Well, let's see. You're predicting flash play? There it is. Support main
Always
knows what it is.
There's no point flashing if you're going to like flash hook. You don't need to predict it. He hasn't got flash.
It's very true, Medic. This is why you're
Hit him with the flay.
Yeah, and he does. Finds the kill. Crownshot ends up losing his life. Mid tower still alive though. Liandry's now completed for Abbedagge. And that's going to offer him a lot of damage. Big item power spike for the Rumble. Also level 13, so he'll have 5 points in both his Q and E. And so right now Schalke feels very happy, feels very strong. Infinity Edge done on the Misfortune as well. Like, these are all the power spikes you want to be seeing. If you're a Schalke fan, you're like, oh, we're tough, we're strong, but
we have no fear.
I mean, yes, that good one, Medic. You're full of them today, aren't you?
Yeah, it's one of those days, I'll be honest.
But they have to find a good fight. Their best bet is the Drake, which is spawning in 45 seconds. SK already investing vision around this area of the map. You can see the bot lane is being pushed in right now. for Jenax, so he's going to push this one in happy as can be. Mid lane's going to be hard to get priority, but it doesn't matter because they're using this pressure in order to get this deep vision in the bot side jungle, and then free of any contention from Schalke, who's invested a little bit more into the top side. Schalke's going to have to invest their 5 men to force their way through the river now.
That's what they're going to do. There is a TP ward behind for Odoamne if he wants to get there. It's all the way down towards the bottom lane, though, which is a long, long way away, as Vedius very kindly highlights it for me. SK cleared out a lot of the vision. Jenax standing. Bodyguard. Stalwart. Strong. Depth's Grass. Going to pull back Lurox, but not going to be able to find the connection they want. 2 seconds on the mountain, and this is how you build the tension, Vedius. Could be the deciding fight. You feel if that the Mountain Soul goes over to SK, it could be Dunzo.
Ooh, ult already gone for Dreams, though.
He's trying to catch Sacre out, but you can't.
But SK's now split up. You can see that Schalke actually have priority in the river.
Here we go.
Sacre still has the ult, though.
Hook. Bellow's Breath comes out. Odoamne is going to try. Oh, that equalizer is going to separate them. Crownshot and Limit off towards the top side. Johnny's Shadow comes out as the Dragon resets. Lurox in the realm of death, but Odoamne is going to be kicked away. Trick trying to take it before Lurox can get back in. Limit off towards the top side is fighting. He's just acting as a bouncer, acting as bodyguard. Lurox steals it away for Schalke, and now the fight continues. Lurox with a double knockup. The shutdown coming out. It's Forgiven who's gone down. They're chasing on to Crownshot, but Abbedagge is going to go down as well. Odoamne getting chased, but the hook from Dreams will not save him today. It's an ace for SK. Schalke, you got the Mountain Drake, but at what cost?
And SK just clean their way through Schalke null fear. They have their eyes set on the Baron now, and there is no one standing in their way. SK trying to separate themselves from the bottom of the pack.
And they seem to be doing it well. We'll have another look at this fight, because at moments it looked like Schalke had the upper hand.
So Schalke don't use that flanked ward as it's disappeared, which means they go straight from front to back. They think that they've zoned Crownshot and Limit off, but the Rumble ultimate doesn't do that much damage to Crownshot, and Lurox is just forced to dance around the fight because of the Mordekaiser ultimate. Then we see Trick having the dragon stolen away. Misfortune realizes she's in a 1v1 because she's not getting any peel, and then Abbedagge gets locked up as Crownshot just kites him back, and you're actually seeing how easy it is for SK to kite out this composition from Schalke and how hard it is for them to get the team fight that they want. They just don't have the setup, and they end up losing a Baron as a result.
Great stuff all around from SK. Credit to Crownshot as well, surviving for a long time in that fight. Now has the Molten Edge, the ornament of the Infinity Edge. That upgraded item. Abyssal Mask and Sunfire Cape complete for Sacre as well. It's not a huge amount of items he can upgrade. Oh, the Black Cleaver's there, but it looks like there's going to be a Locket of the Iron Solari coming out from Limit to add 1 more to the pool. And now with the Baron buff, this pressure is going to be pretty unbearable for Schalke. They're 3,000, 2,500 gold behind. And SK will see if they can use this advantage. You talked about it earlier. They have the scaling comp, but you do still have to use that composition well.
Yeah, let's see what they actually do with the Baron. Because this is one of the dangerous parts of a game when you have an objective like Baron, and then you aren't able to push or generate any advantages with it. You can actually see Sacre. Oh, he was looking for a TP opportunity, I think. That's why he froze in the lane. Schalke looking to collapse now.
Equalizer comes out. Jenax uses the Proto Belt to get away, but I'm sorry, Jenax. Even with the Realm of Death, I don't know if you survive this one. Lands a good obliterate.
What about that?
Not quite gets the Death Grasp. Now Sacre. Oh, they've turned straight on him, but the Dawning Shadow. Sacre's already got 1. They're looking for more. SK were quick to react to the play from Schalke, and Schalke's dreams and their hopes just shatter before their very eyes. Forgiven channels the bullet time, but he can't survive. Not a single member of SK has died in the last 2 fights. 9 from Schalke have.
Well, turns out that you don't need to do anything if you just wait for your opponents to make the play instead.
They curled up the fist for a long time, Vedius.
SK were able to respond in kind, and it went heavily in their favor. They now just group up bot. They have their eyes set on the bot lane inhibitor, and they have their eyes set on the game. Schalke crumbling under the pressure of SK.
It's a lot easier to do something with the Baron buff when there's no one on the enemy team to stop you. The inhibitor tower in the bottom lane will be broken open. The inhibitor short to follow, you have to feel. There it goes. 6,000, almost 7,000 gold lead for SK at the 27-minute mark. It's all done but the singing here, Vedius.
So, let's have a look. Abbedagge, he's thinking, okay, we can get the collapse here. The problem is, it's never really a collapse, because when you think you have a numbers advantage, Jenax goes, well, let's have a 1v1. He has a 4-level advantage, so even though he doesn't land all of his abilities, Lurox is like, I'm still losing this. And of course, yeah, he's now able to disengage, but Sacre TPs him from behind. The rest of SK start to collapse, and you can see that Lurox doesn't have the HP as Sacre melts through him, and the rest of SK arrive to just obliterate Schalke. Very little left.
Tricked. They almost got tricked.
Almost, but not enough.
Former Schalke man, of course, was the jungler that took them from 7th to 3rd in Summer Split last year. And now we'll be trying to work some of his magic on SK, because Schalke, they're struggling. They are struggling. Static Shiv finished now for Forgiven. A little bit more wave clear.
You say struggling. I mean, I would say that it's been an utter disappointment, considering the amount of excitement and hype that existed around this roster, especially coming in. Analysts even rating them as A tier. And I can understand why they would do it, because this was like a feast or famine roster, right? Coming into the split, you expect them to go hard, you expect them to go fast, and maybe towards the end, sure, they deteriorate. Sure, maybe they're not a top 3 team, but expectations were not over the analysts, but many fans were like, the return of Forgiven, this is it. Yeah. And I feel like so far, all this team has showcased is a disappointing performance. Currently, been unable to force any of these early game plays, getting killed at level 1, and now the Dragon Soul is on the table. Can Schalke find a Miracle Steal? It looks like they're not even going to try. SK will secure themselves the Soul.
Mountain Soul for SK. And Vedi, I agree with you. Schalke have been a disappointment. I'll be honest, I'm holding out hope. We've had Null Fear, we've had Null Fump. I'm holding out hope for the Null Aktien at the end of the split. We'll see if they can get there. My German's not very good. 0-18 is what I'm saying. But looks like Null 6 is on its way pretty soon.
Yep. Elder Dragon, Baron up as well very, very soon. That will likely be the objective that SK look for.
Let's look at it from the other side, though, because that obviously Schalke have been disappointed, but SK in this game...
Is it Jenax that you want to really focus in on?
I keep accidentally pressing the buttons. But SK this game have looked like they played around their PowerPoints well. They played... It's still reactionary.
I feel like SK have just kind of punished the mistakes from Schalke.
But yeah, but you have to do that, right?
I mean, for sure. I mean, but it's a very classic SK way of playing, I would say. You know, like they did the same thing against Vitality when I would say that they still haven't showcased to me to be the most proactive team, which again, isn't the worst thing in the world when you're playing more of a scaling comp. I like a lot of their setups. I think that Trick and Limit are working pretty well together. Like, we can already see them setting up, denying this vision. There's a little bit of vision still left over, but that's fine. That's going to fade out very soon. And what we're likely going to see is SK look for a quick... They'll push out the waves. They should look for another reset to restock on their vision. And then they can actually look to start off this Drake. It is a little bit slow, of course, because they are running the Senna. But still, at the very least, they'll either get themselves a fight, or they'll get themselves a Baron.
Oh, we'll see which one it is. Schalke trying to poke their heads in, but really unable to find anything as of yet. And, of course, the Baron is sped up ever so slightly if Jenax is there by the Leandries with that percentage health damage, but they don't need it. Able to sneak in past this ward. Pings coming out from SK. And pings from Schalke, but right now they don't know what's going on.
It's a very slow Baron, but it's fast enough.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how fast it is if the enemy team doesn't ever get anywhere near you. Here they come. Schalke on the warpath. Back to their base. They can't get anywhere near it. Sacre is a good bodyguard. Jenax is there as a bouncer as well. Great stuff from SK. 6,000 gold lead at the 31-minute mark. 2 lanes left to push in if they want them. And with Baron buff and the Mountain Soul in their favor, you have to think it's going to be done pretty soon.
Yeah. So now we just got to look for SK to end the game. I mean,
that is what I've been looking for, I'll be honest.
I mean, it should be pretty easy, right? Crownshot's really strong.
Yeah.
He has decided to go Berserker Grease. I know that's a very, very controversial topic right now.
There's a big you only get 5 extra attacks.
I see a lot of people saying like, no, it's fine. And other people being like, no, it's useless. You know, Ionian Boots of Lucidity is the most common that I usually see on a Senna. But, oh, fight. Will it happen?
Both lands on Sacre. Will it happen? The question is whether Schalke can actually put up any sort of fight at all. Bullet time comes out, really doesn't do too much. Sacre's going to land the knock-up. Trick trying to get all the way on the back line. That was beautiful from Trick. Jumps all the way into the base, but Forgiven is still alive. Abbedagge goes golden off towards the top side. Forgiven has to run back to the base. Abbedagge's gone. And this is SK pushing in. The fight happened, Vedius. There were some cool plays in the midst of it, but it was as done as we thought it was. SK now on the Nexus Towers. Forgiven, no summoners, no way of getting into the fight. Dreams tries to go forward, but he is smacked down with a mace. And Jenax looking for a couple more kills on the Fountain if he can find them. Not going to be able to get there. That will be the game. SK, they're pulling a bit of a G2 here, guys. Come on. You're not as good as G2. Just finish the game, SK. You're not on their level.
Wow.
There we are. SK get their second wing of Spring Split.
Not holding any punches there, were you, mate? just right in the gut. All right. Well, SK, pretty commanding victory. We talked a lot about how they went for more of a scaling approach. They punished the early mistakes from Schalke well. There was a bit of skirmishing, there was a bit of back and forth, but when it came to that big team fight around the Drake, that was really where they cemented their control over the game. Finding a big ace followed by another big ace is really what cemented the game for SK, and definitely a momentum swing. They're going to end week 3 with a win, currently sitting at 2 and 4.
You take those. You take those every day of the week. Schalke, of course, will go home. They think, well, we brought Lurox in. Didn't really work out for us. Still struggled. Maybe some of the issues they were experiencing with Gilius have been fixed. I know they've been very vocal about saying this is not a permanent substitution. Gilius can be back, maybe will be back in the future, but next week they play Rogue and G2, so it's not looking like the easiest schedule for them. SK have Excel and Rogue as well, so a couple of games that they'll want to be challenging in, but will definitely be the underdogs.
Well, SK is a team that has often surprised in the past. They're starting off rough, but we'll see if they can change things around. For now, they're doing okay. Again, I think this was a very solid performance overall from SK, and you can see that you do have your options for player of the game. I would say that Trick had a very solid performance overall. I think Jenax also deserved a worthy shout out. His use of the ultimate with the Mordekaiser was very solid.
And you can vote for that on Twitter, by the way, at LEC, if you want to put your vote in. I agree with you, Vedius. I think both Trick and Jenax had very good games. I think Crownshot should be up there, 6-1-9 on the Senna. Had a couple of really good fights, but maybe the Xerxes Greaves is too much for someone. You know, maybe it's like, can't vote for him. One itemization difference to the norm.
Yeah, it was a slow game to start the day, Medic.
It was, Vedius. We had fun, though. We had fun.
We did have fun.
Important thing for us.
Yeah.
Hope you had fun at home as well. It's been good.
We talked a lot about fists for some reason.
When you say a lot, we mentioned it like 3 times.
And then you ended the cast by just punching SKs.
Did it to themselves. That's it from us for here. For now, we're going to hand it over to Laure, I believe, who's standing by with Odoamne for an interview.
Thank you, guys, and thank you, Odo, for joining me. I just want to make sure of something. Please tell me you're not going to have a breakdown, because I saw the tweet you posted earlier today, and I'm really worried right now.
Well, if I am having one, at least it's not going to happen right now with the cameras here and stuff, but I don't know. It's really disappointing.
I know. And I can clearly see that you guys are trying your best. And I mean, I was talking to Amazing yesterday and even Crownshot before the game, and most of people were mentioning synergy issues between you guys. Can you confirm? I mean, what are the mistakes you guys are making right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some issues happening. I think there are issues that weren't there in like the first 2 weeks, and I don't think it's like a Gilius issue that we kind of like started losing synergy because Lurox came in. I think just going like 0-4 kind of took its toll on us, and I think we're just starting to play more and more like scared of losing, I guess. And I don't know, it's just we're not really decisive anymore. We're just kind of going to places and we're like, let's try this, or we can do this maybe. You know, there's just no one's pulling the trigger, and I feel like I can't really pull the trigger myself, and I feel like the last kind of 2 games I started playing a bit worse because I don't know, it's just pressure, you know, because usually I feel like I have good ideas on what we can do or what I can do, but I don't really have the tools, you know, so that's kind of why, I don't know, my performance kind of started going bad these last 2 games.
I wouldn't say your performance is going back to bad, to be honest, but if we can talk about the game and the team in general, I feel like being an experienced player. You have been in difficult situations in the past, and I'm wondering, what did you channel back then to get back on top, and why can't you guys do it right now?
I don't know, I think we just kind of have some bad habits. I guess it's kind of like scrim related. I think we're not really focusing on the right things, and I know it's kind of like hard to pinpoint because I think it's a pretty big issue where it's kind of like a team-wide thing on how we all work together and stuff. And I don't know, I think like at one point our CEO Tim told us that we need to step out of our comfort zone to get better, and I think that just didn't happen yet. And I don't know, I think it will take a big hustle for us to kind of make it back, because next week it's G2 Rogue, and I don't know, we really need to start picking up some wins, but more importantly, I think just need to start getting some better habits and stuff, because I don't know, I think we're just missing confidence a lot after we're 0-6 now, and I feel like if we don't like make some big changes with how we play, it can snowball really bad, you know.
In a way, the fact that we have a new format may be a good thing, right? Because, I mean, failing in Spring doesn't have the same implications now that it used to have.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it like that, yeah, for Worlds it doesn't really matter, but it's more like of, you know...
Saying this to say that you have more time to turn things around.
Yeah,
mostly.
yeah, but it's more like, even like an ego thing, you know. I'm not really used to being in this position, and I hate being in this position, and yeah, it's just something new, and I need to deal with it.
To be honest, I feel like identifying what's going wrong is the hardest part, and I feel like you got that covered. And if I may say something, I feel like Odoamne goofing around and joking around may be something that's missing for the team, so...
Yeah, maybe at this point we just need to try a lot of things and just see what clicks, because what we're doing right now is really not working.
See, I really want to see this smile a bit more in the weeks to come. Thank you for the interview,
thanks
and
for
thank
having
you
me,
for
I guess.
saying all this. I
Nice
wish you good luck.
losers.
And thank you for this, everyone. They need some cheering up right now. Odo, thank you. We're going to take a short break, and coming back, Vitality will take on Excel. Stay tuned.
Charged up.
Hello, everybody. Let the game begin.